Hey everyone, welcome. This is Gods and Gods. Um, this channel is going to consist of a number of topics, including religion, um, past history, geography, and many other topics of discussion. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be reading a lot from my notes, and the reason being is because I am notorious for going off on a tangent, and I need to make sure that I keep this as concise as possible. Now, I do have another YouTube channel, a couple of them actually, and uh, anybody that knows me knows well enough to know that I can kind of get sidetracked a little bit. So, anyway, but in this first video, we're going to be discussing the primary focus of discussion is going to be religion and how it came about, and some interesting notes because of religion and things that have taken place because of religion. And unfortunately, religion can be a very divisive topic. And I don't want to try to fool anybody here. Some of these topics that we discuss are going to be maybe sensitive to religious people. So you have been warned. It's not meant to be. I promise you, it's not. It's not out of any type of anger or any type of ill will to anybody. However, it is important for me to convey to you that some of these topics will probably bother you if you are religious. And I would tell you to not continue watching the program, any of these videos going forward, if this is going to bother you. And in the first video that we do here, I'm not going to reveal too much of what we're going to get into. I kind of want to just test the waters and see if, how many people are going to be interested in getting my take on some of these topics. Now, it's not just religion, because what you're going to find is religion is based on history, okay? It's based on archaeology. It's based on geography, and I'm going to point some of these things out to you so that you'll understand where I'm coming from. But again, in this first video, we're not going to get too deep in the weeds on a lot of that stuff, because quite frankly, these videos, if I do them, they're going to be extremely time consuming. And I do have a day job. I do have a couple of other YouTube channels, and I do have a Patreon channel. And but this here isn't for any type of monetary gain or anything like that. This is more for me to try to come up with a way to convey some truths, okay? And I think it's really important. Listen, for the past few years, I've really tried my hardest to become a better human being, all right? And I am a long way away, okay? I'm not perfect. And I know I have a lot of learning to do. I have a long way to go. But I have learned a lot. And I'd like to kind of share some of that information with you. I've done a lot of reading. But anyway, the one thing about religion is, unfortunately, it's very, very divisive. Okay. And it's also very geographical when you think about it. And I've really never heard anybody. This is some of the weird shit that goes on in my head. By the way, yes, I am gonna curse, so just get used to it. It's just part of who I am. I'm working on getting better, but quite frankly, language, I think, is overrated. So anyway, I think it's what's in the heart is what makes us a better human being, not what words we use. But at any rate, the unfortunate part of religion and the ironic part of religion is that it's very geographical in a sense, right? If you think about it, if you are born in Europe, especially in Western Europe, and even Eastern Europe, but if you're born there, if you're born in North America, Central America, you are most likely raised in either a Jewish or a Christian household, okay? And I'm speaking in generalities, but the major majority of people that have been raised on religion have been raised on those two religions. And, if you were raised in China, you happen to be born in China, you were probably raised on Taoism or Buddhism. If you were raised in India, you were probably raised as a Hindu. If you were raised in the Middle East, you were probably raised as a Jewish person or an Islamic person, Muslim. And when you think about that, just let that settle in a second. This is geographical. And what's crazy to me is that something geographical, and it's really that simple, is how you were raised, right? And generally speaking, everything that I just said is a fact. Now, by the way, just so you know, for anybody that is going to be offended by, I'm speaking, most of the stuff that you're going to find in these videos, there's going to be some hyperbole, some guesswork here and there, but most of it, 90% of it, is going to be fact-based. So as upset as you might get, understand that we're talking about facts, okay? And the fact of the matter is in in religion, geography plays a huge part in it. Yet we're ready and willing, and we have and continue to kill over it. Right? That's what we do. We have killed for centuries. We have killed people. We're ready to die for it because of geography. It's not because of the text. It's because of geography. And to me, that's just absolutely insane. It really is. And then we have, let's say you're a Christian, right? You're raised in a Christian household, and you hear something like Hinduism, and the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is basically the equivalent of the Christian Bible for Hindus. And in the Mahabharata, they talk about floating cities in the clouds and vimanas that go flying through the sky, and they talk about a great war in the sky that they witnessed, right? Well, to a Christian, that's insane. That's crazy. There's no way that happened. Okay, that's just stupid. How can anybody say that there's floating cities, that they saw floating cities, that they saw spaceships, right? But these are the same people that believe that somebody was born of a virgin birth, that performed all of these miracles, that raised somebody from the dead. Okay, somebody was dead, and he made him not dead. He raised himself from his own tomb. But the people that believe in Hinduism, in the Mahabharata, are crazy. Once again, it's all based on geography, right? And so our Christian God put two people here on earth. And, there's a couple different stories on how he put the people here, the two people here, Adam and Eve. And by the way, we'll delve into the names Adam and Eve and how they most likely came about, actually. And we're also going to, get into some more things about double talk and a lot of misunderstood sayings and or words in the text of the Bible. But anyway, so see, this is what happens. I get sidetracked. But anyway, that's why I need a teleprompter. But so we God put Adam and Eve here, and they were not to eat of this forbidden fruit, right? And we weren't supposed to explore. We weren't supposed to eat the forbidden fruit to gain knowledge, right? And and if you ask me, that's very, very metaphorical, right? I mean, just the basis of the fruit is knowledge, right? That's got to be something very metaphorical. But we're not supposed to, learn anything of our bodies, of our environment, and everything that this planet has to offer, right? So don't eat the fruit, right? And then the snake, the serpent, whatever, the devil convinces Eve to eat this fruit. And then they go and they end up procreating and creating this mass body of people that are now living in sin. When you listen to that, how does that not scream ridiculousness? How can you hear that objectively, not from what you were raised on, but as an objective person? How can you not hear something like that and go, what the hell are you talking about? Doesn't make any sense. So, but now let me say, hang on a second. Let's make something clear here. I am not here to offend anyone. Okay, I promise you that. It's going to offend you, but it's going to offend you because of your beliefs. Okay, not on fact. Because especially for Christians, Jews, I can kind of see, Muslims, I can kind of see, because there are some facts about things, historical facts that Moses and all of these things that have taken place throughout the Old Testament. But when you're talking about Jesus Christ, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to offend you Christians, okay? When you're talking about Jesus Christ, there's little to zero evidence. There's really zero evidence of Jesus Christ's life, okay? Anyway, so I had to stop myself there. I started divulging a little bit too much, but I want to stick to my notes here so that we can kind of keep this concise, and it's a little bit easier to absorb, right? But I am not here to offend anyone, okay? But if you watch these videos, and I'm going off my notes for the time being, I have done a tremendous, and I mean a tremendous amount of reading and research into the topics that I'm going to discuss with you in these videos going forward. And just so you guys know, I have read the Bible dozens of times. I was a staunch Catholic for many years. Okay. And the main reason is because I never really paid attention to it. I never really considered anything else. And I am a very spiritual person now. And there's really not a name for my beliefs. It's far from a religion. It's very loose. But if I had to use a term, I would use the term, maybe I'm a universalist. Okay. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of different religions. And I hate to use that term, but some of the religions, and we're going to discuss this, some of the religions around the world have some merit to them. Okay. And hey, even the Christian Bible has done some really good things. Okay. It's kind of helped keep our young people, in line in a good direction. And I don't mean in line disciplinarily speaking. I mean in line as far as just a moral compass. Okay. It's done some really good things. But I think that there are better ways of teaching it than terrifying a kid to say, hey, if you don't do this, God's going to punish you. That's nonsense. I'm sorry. That is nonsense. There are better ways. But the main crux of this portion here is to let you know that I am not here to hate on anything, and that this isn't coming off willy-nilly. This is something that I've studied for a long, long time. And I think that if you listen to these videos going forward, if we decide to do, to move ahead on this, if you listen to this objectively, and that's the important part, set down your beliefs just for a moment in time of your life and listen to it objectively. I think a lot of this stuff is going to make sense to you. And it's not out of hate. Quite to the contrary. It's purely out of love. I want us all to come together. And those are my beliefs. That we're human beings. We're all one. We don't need to segregate ourselves. And we do enough of that, especially in the United States, by race and gender alone, right? And sexual preferences. We do enough of that. Dividing ourselves based on geography. We Americans, we USA, 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 we pump it out all the time, right? We're number one. You happen to be born here. It begins and ends there. You just happen to be born here. Don't have pride in America, the United States of America. Don't have pride to be Canadian. Don't have pride to be from the UK. You just happen to be born there. It's happenstance. It's an absolute luck of the draw. Should the people that are dying of AIDS and hunger and starvation in Africa be proud to be Africans? Because they happen to be born into poverty? This is nonsense, man. We have got to change the way we think. We have got to change the way we look at everything. And if we do that, just maybe we can finally come together as a human race. And that's it, man. I mean, it begins and ends there. We're human beings. End of story. Drop all of the narratives that go along with I'm black, I'm white, I'm Hispanic, I'm Chinese, whatever. I'm Muslim, I'm Catholic, I'm Jewish, I'm Hindu. Drop it. Just drop it. Set that weight down. And if you do it, again, maybe, just maybe, we can come together as a human race. And if we can do that, the power that can unleash in this universe will be hard to rival. So I want to address some house cleaning things here. And I want to make sure that we keep this clean here on this channel. I'm leaving the comment section open. I've noticed that there are other channels out there somewhat similar to what I'm doing, and they disable the comments, and for good reason. It really is good reason. Because YouTube especially is a place of hate, and so, and everybody wants to go to iamright.com and, put their points into the comment section of how wrong that whoever's creating the video, they want to find a way to disagree with them. They probably don't even know what the hell they're talking about, but they go to iamright.com and, so I'm going to keep the comment section open with a caveat. And that is, there's no hate here. Okay. If you're taking personal shots at me, if you're taking personal shots at anybody else in the comment section, I'm going to remove you from the comment section. You're not going to be able to post in the comment section anymore. It's just as easy as a click of the mouse. Okay. If you want to disagree with me, feel free. I love open debate. I love it. Just so you know, you're going to be debating somebody that knows what the hell he's talking about. Okay? So feel free to disagree, and feel free to, as long as you keep it positive, I have no problem with that. But what I really like to see in this comment section, in the comment sections here, is some love. Some positivity. Let's make this channel a little bit different. Let's go against the norm. Let's create a positive environment here. Is there something so wrong with that? I know it's not sexy, but I don't care. This isn't about being sexy. Listen, I'm 51 years old. I don't have a whole lot of time left on this earth. And I want to leave it in a little bit better of a situation than when I got into it. And I came into it during the Vietnam era. And it didn't get a whole lot better, and it's not much better now. If it is at all. Maybe it's even worse, you could argue. So let's try to keep things positive here. We want to have an open debate. No problem. No problem with that whatsoever. Just understand, if you disagree, 90% of what you're going to be disagreeing with are facts. So just keep that in mind, okay? Once in a while, you're going to see where I kind of just cut in, and basically that's just so that I know that I'm keeping things concise, because I could just go on for hours. So you're going to see that once in a while, and I just wanted to explain to you why once in a while you're going to see where I just kind of splice things together a little bit. But if I said to you, well, let's back this up here. Let me give you an example. Let's say your child got into the refrigerator, opened up the refrigerator door, took out a jar of pickles, and closed the door, and your child turns around and hits the counter, and the pickles fall on the floor and the jar breaks. And you come walking in and you said, "How did the jar of pickles get broke?" This is a terrible example, but I think you'll get the point. And you say to your child, how did the jar of pickles break? And your child says, "Oh, the counter broke them." Well, technically, they're right. But realistically, is that really the case? I mean, it was the child maybe being somewhat careless. But if they said to you, well, technically, the counter broke the jar of pickles. Well, technically, actually, the floor did, but I digress. You know what I'm saying. That's what a lot of science, and it's really a lot of times it's pseudoscience. You know, we use the term science a little too easily. That's what archaeology does sometimes, right? And for instance, archaeologists say that metal alloys weren't around until 2,500 years BC. Okay, or 2,500 BC, excuse me. However, we found stone structures that date back 30,000 years ago with obvious metal alloy bridging in the stone. And as you can see here, this is clearly where two stones were brought together, and they had some sort of metallurgy that helped them create an alloy that when they poured this alloy into the stones, it's a keystone, is what you're seeing. And when they poured this in there, it kept the structures from coming apart. Well, why is it that we assume that we're so much smarter than all of these ancient people, right? We're not. We're not smarter. We have come a long way with technology, and we're going to address that. Okay? We're going to address the last 50, 60 years of planet Earth when it comes to technology versus the prior so-called 11,000 years of Mesopotamia. Okay? But, you know, why is it that we assume that we're so much smarter than all of these people? For example, when we look at inscriptions and hieroglyphs and geoglyphs from ancient Egypt, why is it that we feel that we need to read something into what they're saying in these glyphs of whatever sort they are? You know, if it says that they worshipped a winged disc, why is it that we think it's some sort of metaphor of what the disc is, or it's somehow misunderstood as the sun? You know, and the thing is there have been winged discs that have been discussed for millennia. I mean, this goes back thousands and thousands of years, and it's been said hundreds and hundreds of times. Winged discs, okay? And yet we constantly, especially Egyptologists, they constantly say that this was misunderstood as the sun, okay? Why? Why is it that we feel we have to interpret that, okay? We don't need to interpret it. If they said that they saw a winged disc, let's take them at their word. Okay? We don't have to try to outthink them. Maybe they saw a winged disc, or maybe it was some sort of flying disc that they just assume had wings because they had no idea of the power of flight, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that these were UFOs or ETs necessarily, but what you're going to find in videos coming forth, hopefully, that there were a lot of technologies that existed thousands and thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And I have a theory on it. Now, that's where I'm going to deviate from time to time, and we're going to talk about my theories about some of the things that we've discovered and what they could mean, you know, and they are just theories, and they're working theories. They're open-ended, okay? But, you know, we don't have to assume that when the Egyptians said that they saw a winged disc, or when the Mesopotamians said they saw winged discs, you know, or when the Hindus said they saw a Vimana, we don't have to try to read into it or interpret it. Maybe that's what they saw. Let's take them at their word. They thought enough of it to write it down. They thought enough of it to create a hieroglyph or a geoglyph in some cases, right? If they went through the trouble of doing that, doesn't that tell you something? Anyway, that's enough for this episode. I this went on a lot longer than I anticipated. But, you know, in order to find out whether you guys want to hear more of my theories, my craziness, just hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you do that, and if there's enough of it, enough interest generated, I'll definitely do some more. It's going to take a lot of time and effort and energy to put into these videos the way that I'd like to do them. Okay? And I want them to make perfect sense to you. So, but I need some feedback. I need to know if you want it to go forward, and if we get enough, you know, interest, I'll do it, and I'll do it because this is a passion for me. So, and I'll absolutely do it wholeheartedly. So, anyway, take care of yourselves. Love one another. We are all human beings. Peace.